Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back to Fat Cat Collections. And today I want to do another discussion video, and I will show you a watch as well because I've gotten quite a few comments on this over the years, and I've already reviewed this watch. This was one of my first watches that I purchased where I spent more than I normally would on a watch. Now, I've always been a watch collector. I've always had different watches in my collection, but I always like to stay kind of in the... I wasn't as serious about it. Even when I sold watches, I pretty much wore one watch, and that was the Jacob style watch, that 5 time zone hip hop style watch. And you know, they were really popular back in the day, and you can still get them, although they're getting harder to get because they don't make that particular 5 time zone style anymore. But nonetheless, they were awesome, and you know, I wore them forever until finally I discovered that some of these brands out there were starting to make big over-the-top watches. And that's, you know, before actually Invicta. I picked up the watch I want to share with you guys today. And the discussion video I want to have with you guys today is, are Deisel watches any good? And I happen to have a Deisel watch because a lot of people are like, hey, I'm looking at the Deisel watch. Have you had, you know, you should do a review of Deisel, even though I already have one. And guys, I have over 530 videos on my channel. So, you know, if you have a question, I encourage you to go to the channel and just search for what question you might have about a watch. And there's a good chance I've reviewed it, you know. So even the watches I have that are very inexpensive, like, you know, some of your Armatrons, stuff that I've accumulated over the years. If you haven't saw my video Life Before Invicta, check it out. It's where I go through the timeline of all the watches I have in my collection before I bought my first Invicta. So the watch I want to show you guys today, this is a Deisel watch, and this is one of their Only the Brave models. I believe that's they kind of have gone through a kind of a name change. When I got this, they called it the Big Daddy, and then it's changed several different times. I'm not really sure what this one is, but it is model number DZ7221. And I remember this came out roughly around when Nixon watches started to come out. And that was when they were making the 5130, which you can still get. I don't have one in my collection. It's kind of what I've been wanting to get for a while, but I always kind of feel like the price of it doesn't really warrant what I can get with Invicta. So that's kind of what it always comes down to now. What can you get with Invicta for that same price? For my style, you know what I mean? And that's just, and now if you don't like watches that are this large, naturally you're probably not going to buy something like this. But let's talk a little bit about the watch. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some stats on the watch real quick here. And I don't know if they still make this one. DZ, what was it again? DZ7221. Let's see what we can find this one here. 7221. Now, I remember when these watches, the first time I actually saw some of the Deisel watches, and it wasn't actually... Do they even have this anymore? Let's see. Google Express has it. Yeah, a few people have it. It's funny, you search for Deisel watch, it doesn't actually come up on the... Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's take a look here. No, that's not the actual Deisel store. Let's take it to eBay. Why not? That's where I always buy this stuff anyway. That's where I bought this watch. Alright, so when this watch came out, this was one of the biggest watches you can get. And, you know, I remember going into Macy's and looking around and looking at some of the watches. And a lot of these Deisel watches, not even this particular one, they were going for about $350 to $380. I believe the retail price tag on this thing here was about $4 something when I received it. It's a very interesting timepiece. And I still, although I don't really buy Deisel watches anymore, I really can appreciate this watch. I remember the first time I saw this watch, and I was blown away with how big it was. And I remember, you know, I'm more the kind of guy where I like big, flashy things. And I remember, like, being at the bar and seeing one of the guys with a Nixon watch, and I was like, man, when I get that other watch. And for me, $350 I would never spend on a watch back then. Never. But for whatever reason, I went ahead and pulled the trigger on this. And this was my go-to watch forever. I wore this thing almost daily because it was the biggest watch, and I just loved how it felt on my wrist. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take this watch off here. I was wearing let me make sure I say it right, because people will let me know if I didn't. I would say Talkmeister in English, but if you want to say it in technically German, I believe it's Taumelmeister. Didn't sound very German, did it? But anyway, that's technically what it is. And I just want to show you guys this watch real quick. I've done a video review on this one as well. Definitely one to check out. Very unique timepiece. I've added the mesh band, but that's it. I just wanted to take it off and show you real quick. All right, so back to the Deisel watch. So Deisel watches, a lot of them use multiple time zones. And what I like about it is this one here actually has 4 different time zones on it. You have your standard chronograph time zone right over here. You have another time zone on here, which is your digital, which you can see the battery is dead in this, so it doesn't work. Time zone 3 right over here, and then at the top another time zone. So very, very interesting design. What I like about this particular watch or this company, it's very different. And a lot of their watches they make, you know, they don't really label what kind of movements in them. They probably just inexpensive movements. I never actually cracked the back on this, but I will have to shortly. Again, I can never get the backs off on these things. I have to get a tool, but a lot of the tools don't fit. But most of these things actually have a plastic insert and then separate time zones all over the place, which doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not. This is not a watch you buy because you're interested in the mechanics of what makes it work. You buy it because you like the way it looks and how it feels on your wrist. Now, this is made of all, I believe, 316 stainless steel as well. See if it has it on there. It does not, but let's see if we can get any information. Right now, you can pick this watch up on eBay for quite a bit less than I paid, $174. I would like to find out if we can get some information on here. Let's see. They call this one Mr. Daddy Silver. This is on Amazon. $229 on Amazon, so still pretty close to what I paid. This is a big watch, and this is a 65mm case. It has a mineral dial window and a quartz movement with analog display. Of course, you do have the digital on there as well. 7-link stainless steel bracelet, which is pretty nice. You have a lot of links in that. And I got quite a bit of scratch in this, but I wore this, like I said, almost daily for, I'd say, probably a good 5-6 years. What else here? There's only one left on Amazon. You have 33 feet of water resistance, so that will withstand splashes and rainwater, but not immersions. You don't want to take it diving, of course. And that's about it with the watch. Not really too much else to say about it. You don't have screw-down crowns. These are just basically pop-out crowns to adjust your times and your date. Your chronograph function is going to be on this set of function pushers right over here. And then, of course, on the other side, you have a couple function pushers here and here to set the other time zones. It is a very unique watch. I mean, I always appreciate Deisel watches, but the thing is, for what you can get now, and I want to state that, you know, this has been a good watch. After all this time, it's still working. And this is what a lot of guys would consider, you know, like a fashion watch. This is what a lot of guys try to, you know, say that they're poor quality. Again, I never get any hate on Deisel, only Invicta. But what I just want to compare this to is I happen to have here, and again, it comes down to value, what you're getting for your money. And although this is a nice looking watch, 65mm, it's big, it's a lot of face on the watch. And I enjoy this watch, and I'm glad I have it. And, you know, I don't wear it much anymore, but even when I put it on, I still appreciate how large it is. I mean, look at how big that thing is. And what's unique about this watch is that it's really all face, you know. The case is, the bezel's very, very thin. Very unique design. I still love the watch. I think it's cool as hell. It's big. It's a big, beefy watch. But here's the thing. For $229, okay, if I compare it to this guy right here, the Grand Arsenal by Invicta. If you pick these two watches up side by side, and they're very comparable in size, I would say the Deisel probably has a slightly, oh man, they're almost exactly the same size. If you want to go just bezel and not count the actual, these kind of decorative lugs on the bezel, the Deisel is maybe a millimeter bigger, maybe 2. Very, very close in size. I mean, case thickness, the Invicta definitely has it beat. It's quite a bit thicker. You can see that. I'm not sure what the measurement is offhand, but it's definitely a thicker watch. I mean, not by tons, but it's thicker. But what sets this Invicta watch apart is, whereas a Deisel, you know, you're not getting any kind of movement in there that they mentioned. It's just basically inexpensive parts making these different things work. With the Invicta, you're getting a Swiss-made Ronda movement. And this one here is one of my favorite ones with a retrograde day of the week. When you feel this watch in your hand, and if you were to take both these side by side, and I gotta tell you, I can't tell you the number of people who comment on me and say, man, I always bought Deisel watches until I took the risk, I saw your videos, and I tried to get an Invicta. And once you feel this watch in your hand and feel the quality, this thing is like 3 times as heavy. The amount of steel they use in this is just amazing. I mean, everything about this watch is thick and chunky. And there's really no comparison when you put this on your wrist and you feel the quality of the Invicta watch. I mean, this thing feels like you're wearing something. The Deisel, not so much. And again, not to say it's a garbage watch or that I don't like it or appreciate it, but you can get right now this watch I've seen in a Seiko automatic movement. And I almost pulled the trigger out the other day, but I already have a silver one and I have a gold one already. But they have it for $259. And it's just unbelievable what you're going to get for your money. I mean, an automatic Seiko movement in a watch of this quality and caliber for that price, you really have to like the way this looks to want to actually spend the money on this and not put your money on this. And even the design aspects of it, I mean, just the way they design the case, the different, the Deisel watches, it's interesting as far as the different movements, but when you compare it to the Invicta, I mean, there's really no comparison. And again, that's going to come down to personal preference, but guys, Deisel watches are great. They're nice, they're different. They make a lot of different colors. I think they still make this watch, and let me just take a quick peek here at their website. And they still make this watch in, so I can find the website, Deisel Watches. Let's take a look. Deisel watches. Here we go. So under men's, and they actually have a couple cool ones that I even almost want to pull the trigger on. Well, if we can find it, where are the watches? There we go, watches. So they have this one in again, you go to the website. People give Invicta the bad name. Oh, they have a huge MSRP. Well, go to Diesel's website. They're a lot more than if you're going what you can actually get them for. But they have this watch, very similar model, in a red, kind of a red and black, very unique looking. They call it the Mr. Daddy 2.0. I believe this would be the Mr. Daddy 1. They have this cool denim band version. They have. And I encourage you to check them out. I mean, they definitely have some unique styles. They have the Mr. Daddy 2 in all gold. That one I've had my eye on for a while. I ended up buying a cheapie, a replica off eBay. I thought it was just a remake, but it actually says Deisel on it. $10, really cheap. That one, if you were to buy the same watch, is $425. They have a couple with, ooh, this one's kind of nice. Oh, man. See, this is what I'm talking about. Every time I go researching watches, I find something I want to buy. This one here they have. And watches like this are pretty hard to find. They have a Mini Daddy, a DZ7404 in kind of a copper color, but the whole thing is encrusted with stones. It's got a leather strap. Let's see what else they say about it. Yeah, you guys got to check this one out. This is pretty cool. 46 millimeters, so not as big, but still, I mean, very unique. Sometimes you see watches that are this unique, and if you're into that, you want to get them because eventually they stop making them, and then you're like, gosh, I should have got it. And I hear it all the time when it comes to some of the Invicta watches. Guys have been hounding me over my Venom Hybrid lately, and they're just like, I'll buy it, but they don't want to pay what I would actually be willing to sell it for because I like the watch. And it's not like I need to sell it to survive or anything like that. So, but yeah, a lot of their watches now, they definitely have. Let's see if they have that one. Damn, I wish they had that on a metal strap. And they have a couple smart watches too. So, I mean, I'm not going to ramble on too much more about it, but I encourage you to check out their site. They have some very unique watches. But again, for what you're going to be paying for them, you can get an amazing watch with an Invicta. So that's my take on Deisel. Again, not a bad watch. Just you're not going to get as much watch for your money. But you buy what you like. If you like, the Deisel watch, I want to throw it on the wrist here before we. Again, just so we, I'm going to throw the Invicta on too because this video wasn't really supposed to be about whether you should buy an Invicta watch over a Deisel. I'm just saying that's my opinion based on my experience with it. Because, I mean, if I didn't find an Invicta, I probably would have bought more Deisel watches. I mean, I would have. But just after having the Invicta, it was really just no comparison with the quality there. I mean, but again, I'm not trying to discourage you. Hell's this? Oh. All right, guys, I'm going to take this phone call. I'm going to wrap it up. You guys have a wonderful day, and take care.